Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
New Jersey Open Public Meetings Law was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice and to attend the meetings of public bodies at which any business affecting their interests is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provisions of the Act, the Fort Lee Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be published on January 11, 2024, and posted on the district website at www.flboe.com, published in the board's designated online media outlet newspapers, The Record and the Star Ledger, filed with the clerk of the Borough of Fort Lee, and mailed to all persons, if any, who have requested said notice. Please be advised that this meeting is being recorded and may be broadcasted on local TV and online at a future date. The Open Public Meeting Act allows for remote participation at board meetings and defines meeting as any gathering, whether corporal or by means of communication equipment, which is attended by or open to all of the members of a public body, held with the intent on the part of the members of the body present, discuss or act as a unit on the specific public business of that body. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Byers-King.
Here.
Ms. Colback.
Present.
Ms. Curry.
Here.
Mr. Knight.
Here.
Mrs. Kotang.
Here.
Mr. Lopez.
Here.
Ms. Morel.
Here.
Mr. Rubino.
Here.
Mrs. Richter.
Here. The board will be convening to executive session to discuss legal, personnel, and other confidential matters. The board will reconvene into public session at approximately 7:30 p.m. May I have a motion to go into executive session?
Motion.
Motion
Second.
Morel, second Curry. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Pledge allegiance to the
Flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The New Jersey Open Public Meetings Law was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice and to attend the meetings of public bodies at which any business affecting their interests is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provisions of the Act, the Fort Lee Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be published on January 11, 2024, and posted on the district website at www.flboe.com, published in the board's designated online media outlet newspaper, The Record and the Star Ledger, filed with the clerk of the Borough of Fort Lee, and mailed to all persons, if any, who have requested said notice. Please be advised this meeting is being recorded and may be broadcasted on local TV and online at a future date. The Open Public Meeting Act allows for remote participation at board meetings and defines meeting as any gathering, whether corporal or by means of communication equipment, which is attended by or open to all of the members of a public body, held with the intent on the part of the members of the body present to discuss or act as a unit upon the specific public business of that body. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Byers-King.
Present.
Ms. Colback.
Here.
Ms. Curry. Here. Mr. Knight.
Here.
Mrs. Kotang.
Here.
Mr. Lopez.
Here.
Ms. Morel.
Here.
Mr. Rubino.
Here.
Mrs. Richter.
Here. The board convened executive session at 6:30 p.m. today to discuss legal, personnel, and other confidential matters. Dr. Kravitz, will you begin by sharing the superintendent's report?
Yes, thank you. Good evening. Thank you for all who are participating in tonight's meeting. I would like to thank especially our custodial staff to make sure all of our facilities were available for all of our students today and our staff. So great work, and thank you very much for all your hard work. It's very well appreciated. And on that note, for those of you in Zoom land, we will be holding a delayed opening tomorrow as well to make sure that everything defrosts and make sure that everyone will be safe, but an announcement will be going out. I know there were some questions that we received regarding breakfast, and we'll hopefully have an answer by the time we send the announcement out today. We have many events taking place in our schools, and I encourage parents and guardians to read the announcements on our websites and calendars and be part of your child's school. I know this week at school number 2, there's no name calling week. So please don't forget to read the Eagles newsletter and learn more about that. Our high school students are not available tonight, but I know that we did have 7 students from the high school participate in the Bergen County Choir who practiced all week in Bergenfield. I would also like to remind everyone, if they have any questions regarding their children, to always start with the classroom teacher, then the school administrator, then through the chain of command. I look forward in the coming months to work with all of the board committees on a lot of the topics that we are facing. And I'm very happy that we're here today. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have committee reports? I don't think any committees have met yet. Okay, do board members have questions or comments on tonight's agenda or any other topic?
I have a couple.
Okay.
Just generally, usually we get our audit in October. Has it been finalized? I thought I saw a reference to it, and when will there be a presentation on it?
They're coming in the February meeting.
Okay, first February meeting?
Yep, the February
Okay.
meeting over here.
And we have until the end of September to use our ESSER funds, correct? And what do we have left? It's pretty significant, right?
Well, compared to the original grant award, no, it's not significant, but we'll be utilizing the remainder of the funds with our grades 2 to 6 Golden Tutoring Program.
Okay.
That's going on right now, so that's going to take up the majority of the funds that are remaining. And we are also going to be utilizing the remainder of the funds to purchase instructional resources to provide Tier 2 and Tier 3 intervention to our students.
So we'll be using them all. We won't be in a position to have to return any.
No, we'll use all the funds.
Okay. Also, on 18P, the new position that we're creating for migrant parents, how are we gonna, I know you can't ask for birth certificates or, driver's license or things of that sort. How are we gonna identify the parents that would be eligible for those funds?
So these parents are eligible when they fill out registration paperwork. We don't ask for their status. It's just based on a form that they fill out and that they qualify. And then based on the report that we sent to the state in October, the state actually determines whether we have enough students that fill those criteria to qualify for an award. This is the first time in a while that we've actually received funding.
But we don't have a form that asks whether the parents were born in a country other than the United States, right?
I don't think so, but I don't know the answer to that question. But it's a form that is approved by the Department of Education.
Got it, okay, thanks.
One thing that maybe I should ask earlier, Dina, in regards to our financial report, is it everything up from 2023 till December 31st? Is that where?
No, it's through June 30th. Our fiscal year runs July 1st through June 30th.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
So,
this is
funny.
everything as of June 30th.
Okay.
Item 6F, is that the entire, amount for the entire year, or is this what's discussed tonight?
So that is what we received for the 23-24 school year, as well as the carryover funds that were left over from last year. So you're able to carry over, I believe, 15% of the total award. So that's what that includes, monies left from last year and this year. And I believe, Paula, to your question, the form asks where students attended school previously. So they can identify if a student attended a school outside of the United States.
What is the difference between instruction and support
Amy,
services?
Can you speak? I can't hear you.
It goes off. What is the difference between instruction and support services?
So I will answer and then I'll ask Ms. Masseri to add on if I missed something. So instruction, it typically relates to just that, instruction of students. It's typically academic. Support is anything that's used to support a child's academic ability. So for example, the 100-600 line is for instructional supplies. So that could pay for workbooks, instructional programs, digital curriculum materials that students will use. So it's anything instructional that a student will use directly. Whereas a support, a 200-600, it can be other kinds of supplies, such as professional development supplies for teachers to support the education of the child. It could also include anything along the realm of social emotional counseling, things like that.
And it's applied across the districts, across the schools. It's not only to certain schools.
Right, those numbers come from the chart of accounts that the state provides.
Are you talking just specifically for the title grant?
Yeah,
So for Title I, that's just based on the schools that qualified. So there were, I think it was school number 3, middle school, IF school, and the high school. So based on your free and reduced numbers, what happens is that you get your allocation of your title funds based on your free and reduced numbers. Then there's like another calculation that's done by the state. There's a calculation that's done by the state for the Title I funding based, like I said, on your free and reduced numbers. Then there's other things that go for the eligibilities of the schools based on the free and reduced numbers that occurred in those schools. So the state actually does the calculation that tells you from those total Title I funds, how much is allocated for school number 3, because they qualified, the IS, middle school, and then the high school. So
what about 2 and 3? Those apply across the district or?
Yes.
Well, those schools didn't qualify for Title I funds.
Right.
However, Title II, Title III, Title IV funds can be applied in other schools. It's just Title I that cannot. It's very specific.
Got it, thanks.
Any other questions from the board?
If I have a comment though, do I get it now? I just want to say, I
Can
want
you speak into the microphone so
Yes, I can.
Thank you.
Yes, I would like to say congratulations to the teachers that are retiring. And I know they'll be missed. And I hope a lot of other teachers don't retire or resign. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, may I have a motion to open the floor to the public?
Motion.
Second.
Motion, Colback, second Rubino, all in favor? Any opposed or abstentions? We will hear first from any members of the public that are physically located in the cafeteria. Then we will take questions and comments from those participating remotely. For remote public participants, please select the raise hand button. Mr. Ruggiero will recognize each community member in order of raised hands by lowering the hand. Please unmute your microphone, state your name and home address for the record, and begin your comments. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes. Seeing no one here in public, Jason, do we have members of the public participating remotely?
Yes, Jean Sunick, you have been promoted to panelist. Please unmute your microphone and feel free to share your video. Please state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes. Jean?
Hi, Gene Sunick, 1094 Buckingham Road, Fort Lee, New Jersey. I'm calling to actually address Dr. Kravitz. Dr. Kravitz, we've been going back and forth since November with regards to a simple documentation that I've requested. And to be honest with you, my patience is running thin here. Last communication I received from you was that I would have it by Friday, and Friday has come and gone. And I'd like to hear what the delay is and what's the holdup. And in general, you know, the whole back and forth, I feel is quite unprofessional and unreasonable when a parent is asking for something and it's just getting the runaround. So if you could tell me when I should be receiving it, and if there is a protocol in terms of replying to parents in general, because I understand I'm not the only one here in this type of predicament.
If I may, Madam President, just through the superintendent, I'll take responsibility for any delay. There were a number of legal and procedural issues raised in that communication that my office had to look into. Respectfully, I did have several emergent petitions before the Office of Administrative Law that were in New Year's time frame. That being said, the superintendent and board will advise not to respond regarding this to the matter. Thank you.
Okay, can I reply?
But Mr. Kravitz can respond directly to the parent privately.
Mr. Sunick, thank you for your comments. Every time there was an opportunity when you emailed me, I did respond. I was working with board counsel regarding that letter and that document that you requested. And that's why it's, into board council.
Okay, I understand that, the attorney is taking full responsibility for it. But, that doesn't help me here. I would rather not have to go to any next levels. The board, I have CC'd on it, and, I think a resolution is in order here. And not just for me, I mean, this type of resolution or protocol or something should be in place within the school system for any parent that asks something. They should not be yes to death and given the runaround, just in generally speaking. So I hope this would not just bring a conclusion to my situation, but also set a procedure going forward for parents in the future as well. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Are there any other public participants wishing to comment?
Yes, Fatima, you've been promoted to panelist. Please unmute your microphone and feel free to share your video. Please state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes. Fatima?
Hi, thank you. Inclusion was emphasized during the last meeting. Inclusion of children of different faiths, especially, as you know, gives them self-confidence and helps them feel part of the community. This is just a reminder that Ramadan begins on March 10th. Many people have noticed that in North Bergen, Cliffside Park, and Englewood have in front of their town halls a large crescent and or a sign that says Happy Ramadan. In the same way that a Christmas tree or a menorah is placed in front of town halls during Christmas and Hanukkah. So I just want to put that out there that we would like to see a crescent or some kind of statement, a Happy Ramadan sign for the Muslim children that go to school in Fort Lee. That's all.
Thank you.
Michelle Perez, you've been promoted to panelist. Please unmute your microphone and feel free to share your video. Please state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes. Michelle Perez?
Hi, sorry, having a little technical trouble. Hello everyone. Thank you for showing up tonight. I know it's cold and dangerous out there. I wanted to wish you all good luck at the beginning of this new year with a new organization of the board. I was actually going to say this last time, but because it was the reorg, it didn't make any sense. Apropos of nothing in this meeting, I wanted to encourage whoever is in charge of answering questions at the meetings that if anyone says, any parent or resident says anything offensive, to perhaps follow your rules of conduct and call it out and perhaps stop them. There were quite a few what I would consider inappropriate, offensive, and biased comments at the end of last year. I didn't say anything at the time. I feel like at the start of a new year, we can look at this anew. And since you had all just read out the code of conduct at the reorganization meeting, it reminded me that you do have these rules available. So that was it. Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Mihail, you've been promoted to panelist. Please unmute your microphone and feel free to share your video. Please state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes. Mihail? Mihail?
Hello.
Yes, we can hear you. Please state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes.
Hello.
Can you hear us?
Mihail? I think Mihail has an audio problem. And we just lost him. C, you've been promoted to panelist. Please unmute your microphone and feel free to share your video. Please state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes. C?
Hi, this is Candace. I'm on Westview Place and I have two kids in the system, or sorry, one kid in the system and one to join. And again, I want to reiterate, can we put on the table, making sure that we are up to date on all state learning standards, and utilizing the parent opt-out for those that are worried about parental rights. And I noticed in my child's experience, there are some teachers in the classroom where I would prefer a less punitive approach, I guess is the best way. The one I lean towards is responsive classroom. Instead of yelling, for example, they use a chime to make sure that they don't have to say, yell over the kids and say quiet down. But if there are any extra funds to put our teachers through that training so that there can be a more universal classroom management, classroom to classroom. And then thirdly, the teacher shortage. I know there's nothing you can do, but whatever it is you are doing or can do, if you could speak on, because my child's I feel bad for all parties. I feel bad for the kids in my child's class. I also feel bad for the teachers, right? Like if you're sick, you shouldn't be forced to come back. So if you could just speak on that too. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for calling in. As far as less punitive, I would always suggest speaking with the teacher if they don't, as I said before, get to the administrator at the building level and discuss your concerns and they can assist you. As far as teacher shortage, as you've heard me say, there are 417,000 open teaching positions in the United States currently. In the next 5 years, there is expected to be 1 million. I know this year alone, we have kind of done our best to poach teachers from other districts. We're trying to steal them away if you can. We have a lot of teachers who go on maternity leaves, and as we try to replace them, one of the problems that we do face, and a lot of districts in the same way, there's as a shortage of teachers exist, and there are maternity leave replacements. We're all vying for that same maternity leave replacement. Once a position is available, that maternity leave replacement wants to take the tenure track at that school. So that leaves always the opening. So for example, if a teacher goes on maternity leave in January, we hire that person to replace them from January to June as a maternity leave replacement, and then let's say a surrounding town has an opening where a teacher retired and says, I want to leave the profession, they will leave here with their 30-day notice and then go into that tenure track. And that's happening pretty regularly now in a lot of districts. So we're doing our best to get as many as we can. We're working with outside organizations as well. And we're trying, and I apologize for that, but there's a shortage everywhere. I speak with my colleagues regularly in the county, in our area, and we're all in the same boat. So I'm sorry for that.
Sorry, can I just respond real quick? I noticed that with the substitute or one of the, not criteria, what do I say? One of the conditions with being a substitute, you're not allowed to teach in your own kid's school. Is that correct?
I don't know if that's by board policy. If you cannot teach in your own child's classroom.
I understand.
At school, from what I understand.
Okay.
I'll further research that, but it's fine to teach your own child.
Thank you.
Paula Sarapin, you've been promoted to panelist. Please unmute your microphone and feel free to share your video. Please state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes. Paula Sarapin.
Hi there, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. Yeah, so my name is Paula Sarapin. I'm at 4 Horizon Road, Fort Lee, New Jersey. Thank you for promoting me. So I just want to extend a huge congratulations to the Fort Lee High School Theater Department, its students, its staff, for an amazing weekend of shows this past weekend. If some of you went this past Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, they performed a series of one acts of monologues. They did like a Rent tribute. They showcased like their improv and stand-up skills. So I don't know if anyone attended, but they also had the Clue performance back in December. So if you've been to any of the shows, you know, like you've seen the talent of these kids. It is just so impressive. Personally, my son's been involved in Fort Lee Theater since middle school, where he was in JADA, so the Junior Academy of Theater Arts, which wasn't and still isn't funded by the district. And now he's at Fort Lee High School, and he's fortunate enough to be part of the theater company, and he joined the Academy of Theater Arts, which we're so lucky to have, and I'm so grateful for that. I really can't put into words like the skills and confidence he's gained from being part of the theater program, from his educators. It's really had positive impacts and effects on his academics as well. So my question and kind of statement is that it seems like until students get to the high school, there isn't a ton or much of theater or performing arts offered that's sanctioned through the district. And just, you know, given the fact that studies show like student involvement in performing arts, right? It's been known to improve their self-esteem, which is so important right now, their confidence, their problem-solving abilities, communication, their focus, their concentration, so much more. So really, it'd just be really great to see more district support for the theater department and its educators, which work so hard with not a lot of people at the high school level and at the lower grades. And I'm just hoping this is something that's on your radar and that would be considered. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. I know from a district perspective, we're looking at a lot of the programs that we have and how we can implement more. As we all know, there are limited budgets to what we can have, but I know we've discussed in the past publicly, increasing foreign language, increasing music programs, increasing theater arts, STEM, all of those programs. And as we move forward together, I'm looking forward to working with the board to create a strategic plan that would really look at all of those programs and how we could possibly bring them all into what we're looking for the future. Thank you.
Mihail, you've been promoted to panelist. Please unmute your microphone and feel free to share your video. Please state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes. Mihail?
Hi, can anyone hear me this time?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, so my name is Mihail Comunescu, 254 Town Hunter Road, Fort Lee. So I'm calling in regards to what was discussed in the last meeting. And I have a question about parental rights and long term, what are we as parents entitled to know about our children? I failed to see why some other parents were so rabid to think that they co-parent with me my children and they can impose what we want to do and how to have our children taught in school. So with that in mind, my question is, would the board plan to keep in place the law that gives us the right to know their record, meaning 9240? And the other question is, how would that interact with an IEP program? My very concern is that I need to know what happens to my child based on his current conditions and based on his current disabilities. And in no circumstances I would see myself enrolling my child in this particular district if that right is denied from me. So the other question is, what are the procedures for school choice vouchers, if that's applicable to Fort Lee in general or Bergen County?
Thank you for your email. As far as I'll answer, your questions. There are a couple answers I can give, and maybe I hope I do the best of my ability. Number one, for school vouchers and school choice, currently the state of New Jersey does not have a school choice program. They have a inter-district school choice. There are approximately, I think, 15 school districts in the state of New Jersey, maybe more than that, who accept students, depending on the school district. That number is limited, meaning that whatever that number was set about 10 years ago, that number stays the same. So in this area, I know Bergenfield is a inter-district school choice that participates. I believe Bogota does, as well as Englewood Public Schools. In Englewood, it's only for the high school. There are other districts around the state that do that. You'd have to research them, and they'll tell you how you would go about entering a lottery system where the students could possibly attend. As far as children with IEPs, all children who have IEPs must follow the same state standards that are required. It's delineated in the IEP that says, there's no differential. Traditionally, the resources are the same, and everything that is being taught in that grade level must be taught for every student, whether they have an IEP, don't have an IEP, have a 504, they all learn the same material. How it is taught can be adjusted, but the same material must be taught based on the state standards that are released. As far as the board question, that would go to the board as far as your thoughts.
I think the question was somewhat broad in terms of parental rights. Generally speaking, the board has an obligation to comply with state law. So whatever the law provides in terms of access to or lack thereof, the board has to follow state law. Their policies as presently comprised or written are in accordance with state law. Beyond that, again, it's a very vague question. I think Mrs. Colback was at a seminar I did a few months ago in Bergen County. We can talk for hours about all the different parental rights there are. So without a more specific question, I can't really give a more specific answer.
Howard LeBoff, you've been promoted to panelist. Please unmute your microphone and feel free to share your video. Please state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes. Howard LeBoff.
Okay. Thank you very much. I'm Howard Lipoff. I live at 161 Main Street in Little Falls. I'm a teacher at the Lewis F. Cole Intermediate School, and I'm the treasurer of the Fort Lee Education Association. And I just wanted to respond. There was a few speakers before me mentioning the teacher shortage. It seems to be a problem in some of our schools in Fort Lee. Dr. Kravitz mentioned that this is a national problem, and I believe he's correct. Everything I've heard shows that that's true. I think that the way that Fort Lee needs to solve this to the best of that could be solved is by having salaries and benefits that are better than other school districts. So people want to come to Fort Lee. So right now, I know we have a contract in place, but in the not so distant future, we're going to enter negotiations again for a new contract. And I think that the board should keep that in mind, that in order to make sure that we do well in getting teachers into every classroom and high quality teachers like the ones we have in Fort Lee, we need to work to really have excellent salaries, excellent benefits, and excellent working conditions. I just wanted to make that clear so people listening to this know that that's essential to deal with the teacher shortage. I want to thank you very much and have a nice evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Margarita Figodner, you've been promoted to panelist. Please unmute your microphone and feel free to share your video. Please state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes.
Good evening. My name is Margarita Vigodner, 5 Victoria Place. I have been with the districts for a long time. My older daughter is 24. So I care deeply about the school district, the atmosphere at schools, and at our town overall. So, just about myself, I'm against any type of discrimination based on race or sexual orientation or religion. I'm against far-right ideology. I'm against far-left ideology. I'm against banning books from both sides. And but obviously you can have age inappropriate books in the library. So that's a different topic, right? I'm for supporting our homosexual students, our transgender students, and I'm for inclusion and, for celebrating all type of holidays. But for some reasons, that's not enough to some parents. Unless you start, and I'm a scientist, I'm for science, and I'm for sex education at intermediate schools and the middle school. But from what we saw last time, there is a very small group of parents that kind of came together because they basically lost the election. We had 4 seats, so 3 seats went to Fort Lee Strong, that were more for the dialogue between the parents and teachers, and with the focus on the academic, and only 1 seat went to Fort Lee together that kind of wanted more radical changes in the sex education. So because they kind of lost the election, they kind of came together last time, trying to make an impression that the majority of the Fort Lee parents are where they are. And that's just not true. They tried to, because the Fort Lee parents made their voice heard during the election. The majority of Fort Lee parents are basically with me. And this small group, which basically husband and wife and couple friends, like 5, 6 people, they basically try to paint Fort Lee district in black. And because I have such experience with Fort Lee district, I just couldn't hear that, because they say we need to save our transgender students. We need to save our teachers from bullying. Teachers, librarians being bullied. And that's just not true. 99.5% of parents are against bullying teachers, bullying librarians, or discriminate and being not inclusive. We are all for that. So that's just and I understand if they had kids in high school who were bullied or discriminated against. They have kindergartners, and they're saying about, discrimination. I'm picking up my son from the high school. I see gay couples holding hands coming out of the Fort Lee High School. Nobody is bullying them. Nobody is, harassing them. That's just not true. That's just not true. And Fort Lee District has always been inclusive. We don't need drama. We don't need radical changes. We don't have to talk to the kindergarteners and first graders about masturbation and easy transition and puberty blockers. That will not make us cinephile. That's not what makes us cinephile, okay? We need to focus on academics. And, elections, parents, majority of parents made their voice heard. That's all I wanted to say. And I also wanted to wish happy Ramadan. I'm done. I just want to wish happy Ramadan to all Muslim neighbors.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Yes, Sarah Crick, you've been promoted to panelist. Please unmute your microphone and feel free to share your video. Please state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes. Sarah Crick.
Hi, good evening. So sorry, I was having some issues there. Good evening, everyone, and thank you to our Board of Education for coming out tonight in this snowy, cold night. Many people don't know that you are all community volunteers that are unpaid, and many thanks to our administration, Dr. Kravitz and Ms. Baker and the team who always attend evening and weekend events for our kids in our schools. So much gratitude to all of you. My name is Sarah, and I have 2 kids in the district, and I live on 2nd Street in Fort Lee. And I came tonight really just to reiterate some comments I made at last Board of Education meeting, which is really to urge the district to stay in compliance with the state of New Jersey and focus on priorities like setting a long-term strategic plan, a thoughtful exercise of where we are today and where we want to be in academic performance, focusing on the teacher and staff shortage, which I know Dr. Kravitz gave an update and continues to do. And then finally, to continue to focus on diversity, equity, and inclusion programs. So really making us a national leader in neurodiversity and other forms of diversity, like representation in our teachers and language access. Those are priorities that for me as a parent, I really value. And I wanted to speak also to a group of parents who have really urged that our priorities should be ending policies that protect LGBTQ kids and focusing on the health curriculum, and banning books and things like that. And I wanted to urge those are not my priorities as a member of the community. And I also wanted to stress again, just that LGBTQ families are welcome in this community, and sending our support to our teachers and librarians who have been attacked at Board of Education meetings, suggesting that they're putting salacious or inappropriate books in the school libraries, which they haven't. And the final point I'd like to make is that for districts that have pursued these priorities of this right-wing culture war, those districts are really suffering. There's 4 districts in the state of New Jersey that have pursued that agenda. They're being sued by the state of New Jersey. Another city in Bergen County has been taking down LGBTQ flags, welcoming kids. They're being sued. And so all this money for public education is going out the door. I'd really like to urge us to stay focused on those other priorities and not pursue kind of this right-wing cultural war. Stay focused on all the priorities that I mentioned and remain an inclusive and supportive district. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Leonid, you've been promoted to panelist. Please unmute your microphone and feel free to share your video. Please state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes. Leonid?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, I have a question. I guess health curriculum brought up again, and the question I have is this. If I opt out my daughter, what is going to be a substitute? So someone is taking health curriculum, I will opt out. What is the substitute? Thank you.
Hello, so if you opt your child out of particular portions of the health curriculum, what occurs afterward is that alternative health assignments or physical education, it depends on the grade level that your child is in, will be assigned to your child that do not reflect the portions of the health curriculum or the content that you are opting your child out of.
Thank you. Another question. Basically, I hear a lot of focus on LGBT community, right? Because I want to focus on curriculum. So what I want to know right now is LGBT community at schools, are they being discriminated against? Are they being bullied? Are they being made fun of? Can anyone answer this question? And if the answer is yes, don't we already have anti-discrimination policy? Thank you.
If I may, just, that's a very vague and generalized question. Generally speaking, the board and the administration complies with board policy and state law. If there are any individual complaints or circumstances you're aware of, you by all means can bring it to the attention of the superintendent, and same can be investigated and responded accordingly. The board cannot comment publicly regarding any specific or any general pending or potential or anticipated legal matters.
Brad Raymondo, you've been promoted to panelist. Please unmute your microphone and feel free to share your video. Please state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes. Brad Raymondo.
Hello, yes, my name is Brad Raymondo, 2298 Lemoyne Avenue. So I actually, want to respond to a question that was raised at the last meeting by a fellow parent, and that was just, I think, reiterated by 2 parents tonight, which is this question that has been raised several times of why are we talking about urging the district to do better on diversity and inclusion? Shouldn't we be talking about academics or the curriculum? And I can't speak for all parents, and I'm not going to presume to speak for all parents. I'm not going to presume to know what's in the mind of 99.5% of parents or any parent other than myself. Speaking for myself, I do not think there's a contradiction between wanting our curriculum to focus on anti-bias education, on anti-discrimination education, on diversity, equity, and inclusion, and also wanting our curriculum to focus on excellence in mathematics, science, English language arts, and social studies. Social and emotional learning is a critical part of quality education at the elementary levels. Learning to be a citizen of an increasingly diverse country and an increasingly interconnected world is an essential component, from my perspective as a parent, of any quality public education. The Fort Lee Public Schools are in many ways a model of what public education is meant to be in this country because of the incredible richness, the incredible diversity in our community. However, as a parent of a young child, I know that one of the things that happens when students enter into a very diverse school is they encounter new types of people. They encounter things that are outside of their experiences. And that's why I, as a parent, believe that beginning anti-bias and pro-diversity, equity, and inclusion education at the youngest grade levels is essential to helping our schools live up to their potential, to creating the kind of environment where all of our students can achieve academic success and can grow into productive citizens of the increasingly diverse country that they are growing into. So to me, that is why we're talking about diversity, equity, inclusion, and why that is part and parcel of asking the question of how can we support our students to the greatest academic success? Thank you.
Thank you.
Steph Kotzo, you've been promoted to panelist. Please unmute your microphone and feel free to share your video. Please state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes. Steph Kotzo, you're muted. Steph Kotzo, please unmute your microphone. Steph Kotzo, I prompted you to unmute your microphone through Zoom.
Maybe move.
Hello? Hello?
Yes.
I was unmuted. I don't know what happened. So I'll begin now. We heard a lot of the same people who come forward, who speak all the time regarding diversity, equity, inclusion. I think Michelle was asking for parents who are speaking to be censored by the board. I'm not sure if I heard that correctly. I am not sure the diversity, equity, inclusion, the United States of America is the country that we're in. I hear a lot of people speaking about the diverseness of how our city looks or Fort Lee looks. I grew up in an extremely diverse community. We had an excellent education. We did not have to learn about any sexuality, masturbation, drag time story reading, or anything for small children. Parents have the right in this state to direct the education of their children. I don't see why the push is from these other parents to inject diversity, equity, and inclusion. They say this like it doesn't mean anything. We're talking about sex for children under the age of 9. Children are not sexual beings. Children are not born in the wrong body. Children need time in their own bodies. So when you go to someone's small child and try to push diversity, equity, inclusion, what you're really doing, and like what Sarah said, you know, she wants us to stay in compliance. All of this seems to be about being in compliance with something, but we're not really sure what the compliance is, because the compliance seems to be bringing ideology and activism to small children. And though you may opt out, I can tell you, because my children were opted out all along, there is nothing in place. So unless they're going to put gardening in place or something viable in place, rather than teaching sexuality to children, and I've seen some very small children being dressed in dresses. It's crazy and wild what's going on. So we need to focus, yes, more on curriculum, not on diversity, equity, and inclusion. We are the United States of America. We are a diverse country. This is a melting pot. We have equality, not equity, equality. We have individual rights. It's not a group thing. It is for the individual, and each person is an individual. So I find that all of this is very disingenuous. It's not coming from a place of caring about other people's kids. It's coming from a place of wanting to be an activist in a small child's life. And that to me is dangerous and something that parents in this city should think about.
Thank you.
Brad Raimondo, you've been promoted to panelist. Please unmute your microphone and feel free to share your video.
Yes. Mr. Ruggiero, I believe Brad already spoke. Is there anyone else waiting to speak?
There are no more raised hands.
I just,
All right, Brad, make it quick.
Hold on.
very brief point of order. When the code of conduct for public participation in these meetings specifically prohibits bias, intimidation, to ascribe nefarious motivations to the comments of other parents because of a political disagreement, to call allowing children of any age to dress in a way that reflects their gender identity and gender expression, quote, crazy. To me, that sounds like that is a violation of this board's stated code of conduct for public participation in these meetings. I would simply urge the chair to consider where the line is regarding disparaging the character and questioning the motivations of other parents in public comments. That seems to me to cross a clear line. All I wanted to say.
Thank you.
Bev Cotso, you've been promoted to panelist. Please unmute your microphone and feel free to share your video.
I'm responding to Brad Raimondo.
Stephanie, it's not a back and forth argument with other.
Listen, I'm not going to be censored in any of my speech
Ruggiero, please.
by another parent.
Priya, you've been promoted to panelist. Please unmute your microphone and feel free to share your video. Please state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes. Priya?
Hi, good evening. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Hi. So first of all, I just want to say thank you, everyone, for coming out in absolutely terrible weather. Thank you for all you do. What I wanted to bring up to everyone's attention was the whole bus situation this morning. And it's absolutely understandable. The weather's terrible. The roads are terrible. The buses are delayed. My son had to wait 40 minutes. And again, it is absolutely understandable. It does happen. However, is there a way that parents can be notified in real time, or even the crossing guard can be notified through an app or an alert that, hey, the estimated time is around this time, the bus is delayed, something to that effect. Just because this is more of a safety issue too. These kids are outside waiting by the curbside. They tend to get on the road to see if the bus is coming or anywhere near in sight. So this is really a safety issue. Is there anything in progress that might be used to address this situation or issue?
We're in the process with the beginning of the next school year. We purchased a new program called TransFinder, and we're actually in the process of trying to learn how to use the product and how to implement it, because it will be something that parents will be able to see in real time. So we are aware of the situation and we are working on it.
I know, so thank you. Thank you for letting us know. Thank you.
Julene Stassu, you've been promoted to panelist. Please unmute your microphone and feel free to share your video. Please state your
Hi,
name and
how are
address.
you? It's Julene Stassu, 1156A Inwood Terrace. How's everyone? I just wanted to know whose decision it was to make a delayed opening tomorrow. I'm all for safety, but I'm out getting my son from his high school basketball game right now. So I'm just wondering if you guys thought that it wasn't going to be safe tomorrow morning. Why is it safe tonight for all these parents to be out? You know, I can understand like a Bergen Tech having a delayed opening. Their kids come from 80, different districts, but to my knowledge, I'm not aware of any of the surrounding towns that have a delayed opening. It really wreaks havoc on a lot of parents who need to get to work. So I would just, yeah, come in. I would just like to know, like where this decision came from. And again, I'm all for safety, but we have to be consistent. If the conditions were so bad, then I don't know that we should be out now, with this ice, picking up kids from sports and, the kids walking around and the teachers out. So that's my question. I also support everything Margarita and Stephanie said. I find it very insulting that a panelist was allowed to come back on and speak in regard to a comment directly made, and that someone else could not. She was cut off. So I think we need to hold the same respect universally for everyone. If we're going to let one parent come on, we shouldn't let another one be shut up. It's really unacceptable. That's about it. Thank you so much and have a great night. Stay safe.
Thank you for your call, Ms. Tasso. So I make the decision for delayed opening. I do it in conjunction with other towns. So Leonia, Riverdale, Bergenfield, Dumont, Oradell, Edgewater, Fairview, Cliffside Park, Englewood Cliffs, Englewood, and Palisade Park, Ridgefield Park, Pagoda, Little Ferry are all delayed for tomorrow. So in conjunction, we 7:04, the comments were going back and forth. So we all recognize the concern for tomorrow morning. Temperature overnight will drop an additional 5 degrees from what we understand. So to ensure the safety of all the students, we wanted to make sure that everyone will be safe arriving tomorrow.
I came in person because you took 3 minutes, and who allowed Brad Raimondo to come back on to censor my speech?
Excuse me, ma'am.
My name is Stephanie Kotoyanis, okay?
Ms. Kozianis,
I've
excuse
seen
me,
you multiple
you have not
times.
been recognized or identified by the chair to speak.
Well, you cut off my speech after promoting me. So here I am in person.
May I finish, please? It was the second time that you were speaking pursuant to the board protocol, generally speaking.
There was no board protocol. You allowed Brad Raimondo to tell you what protocol is.
Pursuant to board policy, pursuant to state law, please cease from disrupting the orderly conduct
No one's
operation
disrupting.
of this
You
board meeting.
disrupted the conduct
Every
of
member
this
of the public
meeting.
is given one opportunity to speak. This is not your third opportunity.
No, I did not speak.
Pursuant to the board
I did
chair.
not speak. You cut me off and you allowed Brad Raimondo to speak.
Thank you.
You allowed someone to speak.
Thank you.
You did that. Who promoted him back onto the floor?
I'll take a motion to close the floor to the public. Motion Morel. Second Curry. All in favor?
Who allowed that to happen? He's telling them what their policy is?
All in favor? Any opposed or abstentions?
Abstain. Shameful. Absolutely shameful.
I also abstain.
I abstain.
Casey, I vote.
I abstain as well.
How many voted yes? How many yes votes were there?
Yeah,
6 yes, 3 abstentions, the motion passes. All right, 5 yes, 4 abstentions, motion passes.
Wait, who voted yes? I didn't hear yeses around.
Abstain.
Everyone who's abstaining, put your
Ms.
hand up.
Misery, how many yes votes were there?
Now I have 4 abstentions and 5 yes.
No, Doug is, you're
I
abstaining too.
Yeah, I did not say
Oh, I
yes.
thought you
So
were-
we have 4 yeses, 5 abstentions,
No,
motion
now I
passes.
have 5 abstentions. Mike is abstaining.
4, abstention does not affect the outcome of the vote.
Well, I'd like to change my vote to no.
No, as I've said, board members, as I said before, this is not Congress, right? So pursuant to Robert's Rules of Order, an abstention cannot affect the outcome of the vote.
Can we have a roll call vote on the motion, please?
4 yeses and 5 abstentions means that the motion passes. Now, let me finish. If anyone who abstained, because we're not finished with the roll call yet, if you want to change your vote to no, just vote no. And a no vote means that the public participation will, or strike that. 5 no votes and 4 yes votes means that the motion to close public participation fails and public participation can continue. However, I'll just also note, pursuant to just general principles of orderly conduct of board meetings, it is up to you if you want to let participants speak 2 and 3 and 4 times. However, your practice and protocol has been generally one person, or one opportunity per person. I'm not arguing for or against it, just trying to help you maintain order and decorum for your board meeting. Thank you.
I'd like to vote no, please.
I'm a no. I think it's better practice to allow people to only speak once, but since we did allow someone to speak twice tonight, I think in fairness to someone who actually came here, you give her the 3 minutes.
And I am fine with that if, as Brad spoke, he did not call anyone out by name, and that will not be happening in public comment. This back and forth of mentioning this person and that person, you may not address public members by name in public comment. You may address the board. That is it. So if you wish to speak, I am fine with letting people speak more than once. Since I let people speak, just as Ms. Colbath in the past, you have let people speak more than once in public, and I'm fine with that, as long as we are keeping it civilized. We are not standing up here calling people names because we disagree with their public stance on something. We don't agree on things right now, and we are having a civil conversation of changing our votes or not changing our votes, and that is fine. If you wish to speak again, you will address only the people in this room about your comments, and you have 3 minutes. There is no back and forth yelling at each other. That is all.
I'm not sure how parents in this school district think they are going to censure other parents. It is very, very, very anti-American. Number one. Number two, you had people coming on here dictating policy in the way they were speaking. So during the election, there was a group of parents who were constantly pushing the DEI. My point being, yes, we are diverse. Yes, we are inclusive. Yes, we have equity, which should actually be equality. Those were my points. The other point is trying to push this on small children is wrong. It is wrong. It is morally and ethically wrong. People do not want sex taught from activist teachers to their children, or an activist state, or an activist government. I do not come into a classroom and teach your children to become Christians, or to become Muslim, or to become Jewish. These are activist things that people see are being done. And this is why parents are upset. It's not because they're not inclusive. It's not because they don't care about people that are gay or homosexual or whatever you want to be called. It's because we have a real radical problem with children not knowing and not being able to form thoughts. So when you have an adult dictating this to a small child, you are opening up the doorway to a lot of problems. And more importantly, is we've had a lot of teachers in New Jersey being charged with sexual abuse in the last year. And I do have a problem with the curriculum that tells children if they're bullied, they're going to be depressed. They're going to cut themselves. You have a choice in life. You're not going to become depressed because you're bullied. I was bullied. Anyone sitting on this panel can probably raise their hand and say they've been bullied. You have a choice in the outcome of your own individual life. And yes, I do have a problem with the language of the globalized citizen, because we are citizens of the United States of America. And we have rights that people don't have in other countries because we're a constitutional republic. So I have a problem when people come back on and try to tell me how to curb my speech to fit their agenda. There were 3 people on tonight that did that. And what is your position as a board in having parents trying to curtail the free speech of other parents? Supposedly these parents love diversity, equity, and inclusion. Doesn't seem so from my point of the room.
Are there anyone?
Well, are you gonna answer the question? What are you going to do about parents trying to censor other parents' free speech?
So again, just, as the board is fully aware, public comment is your opportunity to address the board. There's no obligation for the board to respond. I would submit that at this juncture, given the context of that particular question, it would warrant further deliberation and review of this board in a committee structure, because no one board member can speak on behalf of the Board of Education. So I think it's fair to say the board can take it under advisement and respond, if necessary, through adoption of policy and or its actions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jason, is anyone else?
Yes, Leonid, you've been promoted to panelist. Please unmute your microphone and feel free to share your video. Please state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes.
Leonid 458 Westview Place. This, yes, I know I'm speaking second time, but this is a completely different issue. So about the delay openings, if we have such severe weather, why do we open school? Why don't we have remote learning? That's one question. And the second question, as far as I understand before, like I'm not sure about now, only people who had COVID were able to do remote learning. If a person is sick, but not with COVID, the person cannot do remote learning. Why is it in place? And can something be done? Yeah, so basically what I want to know, why don't we have delay opening instead of just do remote learning for tomorrow due to severe weather?
Do you have any other additional questions?
That's the question.
Okay. So the state doesn't recognize remote learning in instances of snow or inclement weather. So we cannot go to a remote learning module for a day like tomorrow. And the reason why it's not only for students, it's actually also for staff as well, to make sure that they're safe to get here and arrive without, and making sure we have enough staff as well. So those are some of the reasons that I look at when making that decision regarding a delayed opening. As far as closures, we have 3 snow days built into the school year, and we just want to make sure that we don't, we're in the middle of winter, if you will. So we try to ensure that we have days where there's truly inclement weather that would allow for that.
Motion to close the floor to the public.
Okay, Ms. Colback has made a motion to close the floor to the public. Mr. Rubino, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed or abstentions? Okay, moving on to resolutions. For the first set, we do have 2 walk-on resolutions on residency. 4B will be administratively.
What was that?
4B will be pulled by the superintendent. That is the memorandum that we requested to see a copy of. And then there are 2 walk-on resolutions, 8 and 9B. 8B reads, therefore be it resolved that the Fort Lee Board of Education hereby disenrolls the following non-resident student from the Fort Lee Public Schools. That is student ID number 5653-929842, Fort Lee High School, grade 9. And 9B, therefore be it resolved, Fort Lee Board of Education hereby disenrolls the following non-resident student from Fort Lee Public Schools. Student ID number 50567154445, Fort Lee High School, grade 10. May I have a motion to approve items 1B through 3B and 5B through 9B?
Motion.
Motion
Second.
Morel, second Colback. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Byers Kane?
Yes.
Mrs. Colback?
Yes.
Mrs. Curry? Yes. Mr. Knight?
Yes.
Mrs. Cotain?
Yes.
Mr. Lopez?
Yes.
Ms. Morel?
Yes.
Mr. Rubino?
Yes.
Mrs. Richter?
Yes. May I have a motion to approve items 1 CUR through 2 CUR?
Motion. Second.
Motion Colback, second Morel. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Byers Kane?
Yes.
Mrs. Colback?
Yes.
Ms. Curry? Yes. Mr. Knight?
Yes.
Mrs. Cotain?
Yes.
Mr. Lopez?
Yes.
Ms. Morel?
Yes.
Mr. Rubino?
Yes.
Mrs. Richter?
Yes. We have a motion to approve items 1F through 8F.
Motion.
Motion Morel, second Curry. All roll call, please.
Mrs. Byers Kane?
Can you come back to me?
Come back to.
Say fast. Pat.
Mrs. Colback?
Yes.
Mrs. Curry? Yes. Mr. Knight?
Yes.
Mrs. Cotain?
Yes.
Mr. Lopez?
Yes.
Ms. Morel?
Yes.
Mr. Rubino?
Yes.
Mrs. Richter?
Yes.
Mrs. Byers Kane?
Yes, except for on 3F, I abstain from my name.
Which one is that?
3F on the bills list,
3F?
where it has my name listed, I abstain from my name.
May I have a motion to approve items 1P through 20P?
Motion.
Motion Morel,
Second.
second Curry. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Byers Kane?
Okay, we're off. So, 8P, yes. So yes, except for on 8P, on 2 and 3, I vote no.
2 and 3 is no, but yes.
Yes.
Ms. Colback?
The same on 8P, and a big thank you to Mrs. Malone and Mr. Garris on their retirement, 2P and 3P. Yes to all the others.
Mrs. Curry? Yes. Mr. Knight?
Yes, with the exception of 8P, which I'd like to vote yes on 1 and no on 2 and 3.
Mrs. Cotain?
Yes.
Mr. Lopez?
Yes.
Ms. Morel?
Yes.
Mr. Rubino?
Yes.
Mrs. Richter?
Yes. Moving on, is there any old business?
New business. I encourage you all to sign up for the Bergen County School Boards Association meeting scheduled for February 6th. Vincent DeLuca from NJSBA, educator in residence, will be the speaker, and the topic is how to build relationships in a hostile environment and build an inclusive community. Timely topic. On old business, when we voted on that Viola water, you were gonna investigate to see whether there was some type of alternative program that we could offer in the school. Is there any update on that?
There is no update. I know Viola has reached out to me. We've played telephone tag a few times. The principal hasn't gotten back to us regarding any alternatives as of yet, but we're always looking for people.
May I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Motion Morel, second Colback.